The sound of shattering glass jolted me from my thoughts. I rushed to the kitchen, heart pounding, to find Ryan standing over a mess of broken dishes, his face a mask of indifference. "Sorry," he muttered, not meeting my eyes. "I'll clean it up." I bit back a sigh. "Don't bother, I'll do it." As I swept up the shards, I couldn't help but wonder, when my husband had become a stranger in our own home, the Ryan I married would have been mortified, apologizing profusely and insisting on cleaning up his own mess. This Ryan? He shuffled off to his study without another word. "Mom?" Emily's voice called from upstairs. "Everything okay down there?" "Fine, honey," I called back, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. "Just a little accident." I heard her footsteps on the stairs, and soon my 17-year-old daughter appeared in the doorway, eyebrows raised. "Dad?" I nodded, and she rolled her eyes. "Figures. He's been so weird lately." "He's just stressed with work," I said, the lie tasting bitter on my tongue. "How's that college essay coming along?" Emily groaned. "Don't remind me. I swear, if I have to write one more draft about my most significant challenge, I'm going to scream." I chuckled, grateful for the distraction. "Well, you could always write about living with your father. That's certainly a challenge these days." "Mom," Emily's eyes widened, but I caught the hint of a smile. "I'm kidding," I said, though we both knew I wasn't entirely. "Why don't you take a break? We could watch a movie or something." Emily's face fell. "Can't. I promised Dad I'd help him organize his office tonight." My heart sank. "Oh, I didn't realize." "Yeah, he asked me yesterday. Said he had some old papers he needed to sort through." She shrugged. "Sorry, Mom, maybe tomorrow?" I forced a smile. "Of course. Have fun with your dad." As Emily disappeared upstairs, I leaned against the counter, fighting back tears. When had I become the outsider in my own family? The doorbell rang, startling me from my pity party. I wiped my eyes and went to answer it, surprised to find my brother Mark on the other side. "Hey, sis," he said, his easy grin fading as he took in my appearance. "Whoa, you okay?" I stepped aside to let him in. "I'm fine, just a long day. What brings you by?" Mark held up a bottle of wine. "Thought we could use a drink. Rough week at the firm, and I figured my favorite sister could use some company." I raised an eyebrow. "I'm your only sister." "Exactly why you're my favorite." He winked, following me to the kitchen. "Where's the rest of the family?" I busied myself finding wine glasses. "Emily's helping Ryan in his office. They're bonding, I guess." Mark's silence spoke volumes. When I turned back, his eyes were full of concern. "Lisa, what's really going on?" I opened my mouth to brush him off, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I found myself sinking into a chair, the weight of the past few months crashing down on me. "I don't know, Mark," I whispered. It's like I'm living with strangers. Ryan's always working late or locked in his office. Emily's so focused on college applications, she barely has time for me. I feel so alone." Mark reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "Hey, you're not alone, okay? You've got me. Always." I managed a weak smile. "Thanks, I can't shake this feeling that something's wrong, really wrong." As if on cue, we heard a crash from upstairs, followed by raised voices. I jumped to my feet, but Mark beat me to the stairs. We rushed up to find Emily standing in the hallway, her face pale. "Emily," I asked, my heart racing, "what happened?" She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. "Mom, I think you need to see this." In her trembling hand was a crumpled letter, the handwriting unfamiliar and distinctly feminine. As I took it from her, my world tilted on its axis. "Dear Ryan," it began, "I can't wait to see you again. These stolen moments are never enough." I looked up at Mark, my vision blurring with tears. "Oh God," I whispered. "What am I going to do?" I couldn't sleep that night. The letter burned in my mind, its words etched into my memory like a cruel tattoo. As the first light of dawn crept through our bedroom window, I turned to look at Ryan. He slept peacefully, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. How long had it been going on? The question gnawed at me as I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake him. In the kitchen, I poured myself a cup of coffee, my hands shaking slightly as I replayed the events of the past few months in my mind, the late nights at the office, the secretive phone calls, the sudden interest in organizing his workspace. It all made sickening sense now. "Mom?" Emily's voice startled me. She stood in the doorway, her eyes puffy from a sleepless night. "Are you okay?" I forced a smile. "I'm fine, sweetie, just thinking." She hesitated, then asked, "What are you going to do?" The question hung in the air between us. What was I going to do? I had no idea. "I don't know yet," I admitted. "But we'll figure it out together, okay?" Emily nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. She was too young to be dealing with this mess. The sound of Ryan's footsteps on the stairs sent a jolt of panic through me. I wasn't ready to face him yet. "Morning," he mumbled, heading straight for the coffee pot. He didn't even look at me. I watched him, searching for any sign of guilt or remorse. There was nothing, just the same distant, distracted expression he'd worn for months. "Ryan," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "We need to talk." He glanced up, frowning. "Can it wait? I've got an early meeting." The casual dismissal ignited a spark of anger in my chest. "No, it can't wait. This is important." Emily slipped out of the room, leaving us alone. Ryan sighed, leaning against the counter. "What is it, Lisa?" I took a deep breath. "I know about the letter." For a moment, confusion flickered across his face. Then I saw it. A flash of panic in his eyes before he schooled his features into a neutral expression. "What letter?" he asked, but his voice lacked conviction. "Don't," I said, my tone sharp. "Don't lie to me, Ryan. Not anymore." He set down his coffee cup, running a hand through his hair. "Lisa, I can explain." "Explain what?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "Explain how you've been sneaking around behind my back, how you've been lying to me, to our daughter." Ryan's face hardened. "It's not what you think," I laughed bitterly. "Really?" "Because I think it's exactly what I think. Who is she, Ryan? An old girlfriend? A coworker?" He remained silent, his jaw clenched. The lack of denial was all the confirmation I needed. "How long?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ryan's shoulders sagged. "Lisa, please." "How long?" He met my gaze, finally. "A few months." The words hit me like a physical blow. Months. While I'd been worrying about our marriage, planning date nights, trying to reconnect, he'd been with someone else. "I want you out," I said, surprised by the calm in my voice. Ryan's eyes widened. "What?" "You heard me. I want you out of this house. Today." He shook his head. "Lisa, be reasonable. We can work this out for Emily's sake. Don't you dare use our daughter as an excuse," I hissed. "You should have thought about her before you decided to cheat." The sound of a car door slamming outside made us both jump. Through the window, I saw a familiar figure striding up our driveway. "Oh, perfect timing," I muttered. Ryan frowned. "Who?" The front door burst open and Mark's voice boomed through the house. "Lisa? You here?" He appeared in the kitchen doorway, taking in the scene before him. His eyes narrowed as they landed on Ryan. "Everything okay?" Mark asked, his tone deceptively casual. I looked at my brother, then back at my husband. The tension in the room was palpable. "No," I said finally. "No, it's not okay, but it will be." I turned to Ryan, my decision made. "Pack your bags. You have an hour." As Ryan stormed out of the kitchen, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. The worst had happened, and I was still standing. With Mark by my side and Emily upstairs, I knew I could face whatever came next. But as I heard Ryan's angry footsteps overhead, a new worry gnawed at me. What else didn't I know? And how much worse could this get? The house felt emptier than ever after Ryan left. Emily retreated to her room, and I found myself pacing the living room, unable to settle. Mark watched me from the couch, his brow furrowed with concern. "Lisa, sit down," he said gently. "You're making me dizzy." I collapsed into an armchair, burying my face in my hands. "What am I going to do, Mark?" He leaned forward, his voice firm. "You're going to survive this, and then you're going to thrive." I looked up at him, managing a weak smile. "You sound so sure." "Because I am," he replied. "You're the strongest person I know, sis, and you've got me in your corner." A knock at the door interrupted us. I froze, panic rising in my chest. What if it's Ryan? Mark stood, his expression hardening. "Then I'll handle it." But when he opened the door, it wasn't Ryan standing there. It was Donna, Ryan's mother, her face a mask of concern that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Lisa, dear," she cooed, pushing past Mark. "I just heard what happened. Are you all right?" I stiffened as she approached, her perfume cloying in the air between us. "I'm fine, Donna. Thank you for your concern," she tsked, shaking her head. "Such a shame. I always worried Ryan might stray. He needs a firmer hand, you know." Mark's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Donna waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, nothing, dear. I just think perhaps if Lisa had been more attentive." "Don't you dare," I hissed, rising to my feet. "Don't you dare try to blame this on me." Donna's eyes widened in mock innocence. "I'm not blaming anyone, dear. These things happen. Maybe if you two try counseling." "Counseling?" I laughed bitterly. "Donna, your son has been cheating on me for months. Counseling isn't going to fix this." A flicker of something, triumph, flashed across Donna's face before she schooled her features back into a sympathetic mask. "Months? Oh my. I had no idea it had been going on that long." Mark stepped forward, his lawyer instincts kicking in. Donna, what exactly do you know about this? She hesitated, and in that moment I saw the truth. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. You knew, I whispered. You've known all along, haven't you? Donna's silence was all the confirmation I needed. Rage boiled up inside me, hot and fierce. How long? I demanded. How long have you known about your son's affair? She lifted her chin, defiance replacing the fake sympathy. A while, she admitted. But really, Lisa, what did you expect? Ryan's a successful man. He needs someone who can keep up with him, not hold him back. Mark's hand on my arm was the only thing that kept me from lunging at her. I think you should leave, he said, his voice dangerously low. Donna sniffed, gathering her purse. Fine. But don't come crying to me when this all falls apart. I warned Ryan you weren't good enough for him years ago. As the door slammed behind her, I sagged against Mark, the fight draining out of me. She knew, I repeated, my voice hollow. All this time, she knew. Mark guided me back to the couch, his arm around my shoulders. Lisa, listen to me. This isn't your fault. Ryan and Donna, they're the ones in the wrong here. I nodded, but doubt gnawed at me. Had I really been so blind, so inadequate as a wife that my own mother-in-law thought I deserved this? What do I do now? I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. Mark squeezed my hand. Now? Now we fight back. We make sure Ryan doesn't get away with this, and we show Donna that you're a hell of a lot stronger than she thinks. As I looked at my brother, determination replacing the hurt in his eyes, I felt a spark of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Okay, I said, straightening my shoulders. Where do we start? Mark grinned, a hint of mischief in his expression. Well, first things first. We need to make sure Ryan doesn't have access to your finances. And then we start building your case. As we bent our heads together planning our next move, I realized that this was far from over. But for the first time since finding that letter, I felt ready to face whatever came next. With Mark by my side and the truth finally out in the open, I was done being the victim. It was time to take control of my life again, no matter who tried to stand in my way. The next morning, I woke with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in months. Mark's words echoed in my mind. We fight back. But first, I needed answers. I found myself outside Donna's house, my hands shaking as I rang the doorbell. When she answered, her surprise quickly morphed into a smug smile. Lisa, dear, what an unexpected pleasure. I pushed past her into the foyer. Cut the act, Donna. We need to talk. She sighed dramatically, leading me to the living room. I suppose we do. Tea? No, I snapped. I want the truth. All of it. Donna settled into an armchair, smoothing her skirt. The truth? Well, that's a loaded term, isn't it? I clenched my fists, fighting to keep my voice steady. How long have you known about Ryan's affair? She examined her manicure, her casual demeanor infuriating. Oh, I suppose it's been, 8 months now? The room spun. 8 months. While I'd been planning our anniversary dinner, she'd known my marriage was a lie. Why? I choked out. Why didn't you tell me? Donna's eyes hardened. Because, Lisa, I hoped Ryan would come to his senses, that he'd realize what a mistake he'd made marrying you and leave on his own. Her words hit like a physical blow. What did I ever do to make you hate me so much? She laughed, a cold, brittle sound. Oh, Lisa, it's not about hate, it's about what's best for my son. And you? You were never good enough for him. Rage boiled up inside me. Not good enough. I gave up my career for him. I raised our daughter while he chased promotions. I stood by him through everything. And that's exactly the problem, Donna sneered. You made him weak, complacent. Ryan needs a woman who challenges him, pushes him to be better, not some housewife content to live in his shadow. I reeled back as if slapped. Is that what you think of me? That I'm just some trophy wife? Donna stood, her voice dripping with disdain. Please, we both know Ryan married you because you got pregnant. He felt obligated. But obligation isn't love, dear. Something inside me snapped. Before I knew what I was doing, my hand connected with Donna's cheek, the crack echoing in the silent room. She stumbled back, shock written across her face. How dare you? No, I snarled. How dare you? You don't know the first thing about me or my marriage, and you sure as hell don't get to decide what's best for Ryan. Donna's eyes narrowed. Be careful, Lisa. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Is that a threat? She smiled, all pretense of civility gone. Consider it a warning. If you try to take Ryan for everything he's worth in this divorce, I'll make sure you regret it. I stepped closer, my voice low and dangerous. Bring it on, Donna, because I'm done being the dutiful wife and daughter-in-law. You want to fight? You've got one. As I stormed out of the house, my phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. We need to talk. About Emily. My blood ran cold. Emily. In all the chaos, I'd almost forgotten how this was affecting our daughter. I called Mark as I got in the car. I need your help, I said when he answered. Things just got a lot more complicated. What happened? He asked, concern evident in his voice. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. Donna knows more than she's letting on, and now Ryan wants to talk about Emily. I think he might try to take her from me. Mark's voice hardened. Not if I've anything to say about it. Come to my office. We'll figure this out. As I drove, my mind raced. I'd thought discovering Ryan's affair was the worst thing that could happen. But now, faced with the possibility of losing my daughter, I realized the real fight was just beginning. One thing was certain. I wasn't going down without a fight. Ryan, Donna, and anyone else who stood in my way were about to learn just how strong I could be. My hands shook as I pulled into our driveway. Ryan's car was already there, and I could see his silhouette through the living room window. Taking a deep breath, I steeled myself for the confrontation ahead. As I walked in, Ryan stood up from the couch, his face a mask of guilt and defiance. Lisa, we need to talk. You're damn right we do, I snapped, tossing my purse aside. Let's start with why you've been lying to me for over a year. He flinched, but held his ground. It's not that simple. Really? I laughed bitterly. Because from where I'm standing, it's pretty straightforward. You cheated, Ryan. You betrayed our marriage, our family. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his voice. I never meant for it to happen. It just did. Oh, please, I scoffed. Things don't just happen, Ryan. You made a choice. Every time you lied, every time you snuck around behind my back, those were choices. He slumped back onto the couch, suddenly looking older than his years. You're right. I screwed up. But Lisa, you have to understand, our marriage hasn't been right for a long time. Anger flared hot in my chest. So that makes it okay? Because we hit a rough patch, you get to throw away 20 years of marriage? That's not what I'm saying. Ryan stood again, pacing the room. I felt trapped, okay? Like I was suffocating in this life we built. I reeled back as if slapped. Trapped? By me? By our daughter? He shook his head vehemently. No, not by you. By expectations. The pressure to be the perfect husband, father, provider. I lost myself somewhere along the way. And you found yourself in another woman's bed? The words tasted like acid on my tongue. Ryan's shoulders sagged. I know it sounds cliché, but with her, I felt alive again, seen. Something inside me shattered at his words. All the anger drained away, leaving only a hollow ache. And I made you feel, what? Dead? Invisible? He reached for me, but I stepped back. Lisa, please, I never meant to hurt you. A bitter laugh escaped me. Well, congratulations, Ryan. You failed spectacularly at that. Silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words and broken promises. Finally, I asked the question that had been burning inside me since I found that letter. Do you love her? Ryan's hesitation was all the answer I needed. Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I want a separation, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I need time to figure out what I want, and clearly, so do you. He nodded slowly. I understand. But Lisa, what about Emily? We need to think about her in all this. The mention of our daughter reignited my anger. Oh, now you're concerned about Emily? Where was that concern when you were sneaking around behind our backs? Ryan's face hardened. Don't you dare imply I don't care about our daughter. Everything I've done has been for this family. I laughed incredulously. Everything, including destroying our marriage? He stepped closer, his voice low and intense. I made mistakes, Lisa. I own that, but I won't let you use Emily as a weapon in this. A chill ran down my spine at his words. What are you saying, Ryan? His eyes met mine, a challenge in their depths. I'm saying that if you try to keep me from my daughter, I'll fight you every step of the way, and you know I have the resources to do it. The threat hung in the air between us, transforming the man I once loved into a stranger. In that moment, I realized the true battle was just beginning. Get out, I whispered, my voice shaking with rage and fear. Get out of this house right now. As Ryan gathered his things, a cold determination settled over me. He wanted a fight? Fine. I'd give him one he'd never forget. The moment the door closed behind him, I pulled out my phone and dialed Mark's number. I need your help, I said when he answered. It's time to go to war. Mark's office felt like a war room as we pored over documents and legal strategies. My brother's face was grim as he laid out our options. Lisa, I won't sugarcoat this, he said, leaning back in his chair. Ryan's got resources, and from what you've told me about Donna, She'll be backing him all the way. This could get ugly. I nodded, steeling myself. I'm ready. What's our first move? Mark slid a folder across the desk. We need to protect your assets, joint accounts, property, everything. Ryan's already shown he's willing to play dirty. We can't give him any ammunition. As I flipped through the papers, a knot formed in my stomach. Our entire life together, reduced to cold hard numbers. What about Emily? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Mark's expression softened. That's where it gets tricky. Given Emily's age, the court will take her preferences into account. But Ryan might try to manipulate her, especially with Donna in his corner. Anger flared hot in my chest. He wouldn't dare use our daughter as a pawn. Wouldn't he? Mark raised an eyebrow. Lisa, you need to be prepared for anything. Ryan's not the man you thought he was. The truth of his words hit me like a physical blow. I slumped in my chair, suddenly exhausted. How did we get here, Mark? How did I not see this coming? He reached across the desk, squeezing my hand. This isn't your fault. Ryan made his choices. Now we make ours. A knock at the door interrupted us. Mark's assistant poked her head in, looking apologetic. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see Lisa. Says it's urgent. My heart raced as I followed her to the lobby. Had Ryan tracked me down? But it wasn't my soon-to-be ex-husband waiting for me. It was Donna. She stood as I approached, her face a mask of concern that didn't reach her eyes. Lisa, dear, we need to talk. I crossed my arms, my voice ice cold. I think we've said all we need to say to each other, Donna. She glanced around the office, lowering her voice. Not here. This is delicate. It's about Emily. Fear gripped me. What about Emily? Donna's eyes gleamed with a predatory light. Let's just say I have some information that could make things very difficult for you in the custody battle. Unless, of course, you're willing to be reasonable about the divorce settlement. White-hot rage coursed through me. Are you blackmailing me? She smiled, all pretense of warmth gone. I prefer to think of it as negotiating. Ryan's willing to be generous, Lisa. Don't throw that away out of spite. I stepped closer, my voice low and dangerous. Listen carefully, Donna. I don't know what game you're playing, but if you think for 1 second that I'll let you or Ryan use my daughter as a bargaining chip, you're sorely mistaken. Donna's smile never wavered. Oh, Lisa, you really don't understand what you're up against, do you? This isn't just about the divorce. This is about protecting my son's future, and I'll do whatever it takes to ensure that future is secure. As she turned to leave, she paused, her parting shot hitting me like a physical blow. By the way, have you asked Emily about her college applications lately? You might find her choices illuminating. I stood rooted to the spot, my mind reeling. What did Donna know that I didn't? And how had I become so disconnected from my own daughter that I might have missed something crucial? Mark found me there, still staring at the door long after Donna had gone. Lisa, what happened? I turned to him, my voice shaking. We need to talk to Emily, now. As we rushed out of the office, I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my family, was crumbling beneath my feet. And the worst part? I had a sinking feeling that the ground had started to give way long before I ever noticed the cracks. My heart raced as Mark and I pulled into the driveway. Emily's car was there, but so was Ryan's. This wasn't how I'd planned for this to go down. You ready for this? Mark asked, his hand on my shoulder. I took a deep breath. As I'll ever be. The moment we stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. The air was thick with tension, and I could hear muffled voices from the kitchen. As we rounded the corner, the scene before me stopped me cold. Ryan and Emily sat at the table, heads bent close together. A stack of papers lay between them. College brochures, I realized with a jolt, but not the ones we'd been looking at together. They both looked up as we entered, guilt flashing across Emily's face before it hardened into defiance. Mom, she said, her voice steady. We need to talk. Ryan stood, his posture defensive. Lisa, I can explain. Explain what? I snapped, fury rising. How you're trying to manipulate our daughter behind my back. Emily slammed her hand on the table. He's not manipulating me. God, Mom, why do you always have to make everything about you? Her words hit me like a physical blow. I staggered back, Mark's steadying hand on my elbow. Emily, he said, his lawyer voice kicking in. Why don't you tell us what's going on? She glared at him. This is family business, Uncle Mark. No offense, but you don't get a say. Ryan smirked, and I wanted to slap the smugness right off his face. You heard her, Mark. This is between us and our daughter. I found my voice again. Our daughter? That's rich coming from the man who's been lying to her for over a year. Emily's eyes widened. What are you talking about? The room fell silent. Ryan's face drained of color as he realized what I'd done. You didn't tell her, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. You've been pushing her to choose sides, and you didn't even have the decency to tell her why. Emily looked between us, confusion giving way to anger. Tell me what, Dad? Ryan reached for her, but she jerked away. Emily, sweetheart, it's complicated. No, I cut in. It's not complicated at all. Your father has been having an affair, Emily, for over a year. The words hung in the air, heavy and final. Emily's face crumpled, tears welling in her eyes. Is it true? She whispered. Ryan's shoulders sagged. Yes, he admitted, but Emily, you have to understand. She was on her feet in an instant, shoving past him. Understand what? That you're a liar? That this whole time you've been... God, I can't even look at you. As she ran from the room, I moved to follow, but Mark held me back. Give her a minute, he murmured. Ryan turned to me, his eyes blazing. How could you do that? We were supposed to tell her together. I laughed bitterly. Like you told me together? Face it, Ryan, you never planned on coming clean. You just wanted to turn her against me so you could win the divorce. He flinched. That's not true. I love Emily. I was trying to protect her. Protect her? I scoffed. By lying? By using her as a pawn in your sick game? Mark stepped between us. All right, that's enough. Ryan, I think it's time you left. For a moment, I thought Ryan might argue, but then his shoulders slumped, and he nodded. As he gathered his things, I felt a strange mix of triumph and despair. The front door slammed, and suddenly the house felt too quiet. I sank into a chair, my legs no longer able to support me. What have I done? I whispered. Mark squeezed my shoulder. You told the truth, Lisa. It was bound to come out eventually. I nodded, but the victory felt hollow. Because upstairs, my daughter was crying. And for the first time in her life, I didn't know how to comfort her. As I climbed the stairs to Emily's room, I realized that winning the battle might have cost me the war. And I had no idea how to make things right again. 6 months after that fateful day in the kitchen, I stood in front of my easel, brush in hand, staring at the canvas before me. The painting was almost finished, a swirling landscape of blues and purples with a single, defiant streak of gold cutting through the center. It's beautiful, Mom, Emily said from the doorway of my new studio apartment. I turned, smiling at my daughter. The past few months had been hard on both of us, but we'd weathered the storm together. Thanks, sweetie. How was your campus tour? Emily's eyes lit up as she launched into a detailed description of her visit to her top-choice college. As I listened, I marveled at her resilience, her ability to look forward despite everything that had happened. A knock at the door interrupted us. Emily tensed, and I squeezed her shoulder reassuringly before going to answer it. Ryan stood in the hallway, looking uncomfortable. Lisa, I need to talk to you. I glanced back at Emily, who nodded slightly. It's okay, Mom. I'll wait in the studio. As she disappeared into the other room, I stepped into the hall, closing the door behind me. What is it, Ryan? He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my heart ache. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About us, about what happened. I made a huge mistake, Lisa. I want to make things right. I stared at him, searching for any trace of the man I'd fallen in love with all those years ago. It's too late for that, Ryan. You know that. He nodded, his shoulders slumping. I know. I miss our family. I miss you. For a moment, I felt a flicker of the old longing. But then I thought of the lies, the betrayal, the pain he'd caused, not just me, but our daughter. I'm sorry, Ryan, but we can't go back. We can only move forward. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. Court date set. You ready for this? I looked back at Ryan, feeling a surge of strength. The divorce will be final next month. After that, we'll work out a schedule for Emily, but it's over. He opened his mouth to argue, but something in my expression stopped him. Finally, he nodded. I understand. Take care of yourself, Lisa. As he walked away, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I'd faced my greatest fear, the end of my marriage, and come out stronger on the other side. Back inside, I found Emily examining my painting. You okay, Mom? She asked, concern etched on her face. I pulled her into a hug. I'm more than okay, sweetheart. I'm free. We spent the rest of the afternoon planning her college applications, laughing and dreaming about the future. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow across the room, Emily grew quiet. Mom, she said, her voice small. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about Dad. I was so confused and angry, and I didn't know how to handle it. I cupped her face in my hands, looking into eyes so like my own. "Oh, honey, you have nothing to be sorry for. We both got hurt, but we're going to be okay, more than okay." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, baby girl." As Emily left for her study group, I turned back to my painting. With a few final brushstrokes, I added another streak of gold, intertwining with the first. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful in its own way, just like our new life. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an old friend, asking if I'd like to grab coffee sometime. I smiled, feeling a flutter of excitement I hadn't experienced in years. Standing there in my studio, surrounded by the art I'd rediscovered and the life I was rebuilding, I realized something profound. The end of my marriage wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with possibility, strength, and most importantly, hope. As I replied to the text with a simple "I'd love to," I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Whatever came next, I was ready to face it, not as Ryan's wife or Emily's mother, but as Lisa, strong, resilient, and finally truly free.